I'm with the Bishop Terry of Middlesbrough, which is in the north of England. And during this COVID crisis, first of all, Middlesbrough's been hit worse than most of the rest of the country. Can you tell us a little bit, just some background of what's going on with the COVID-19 pandemic in your neck of the woods?
Well, it's one of the highest in the country, as you say, and I'm sorry to say it's connected with poverty, because this area of Middlesbrough and another part of our diocese, which is Hull, are probably the poorest parts of England, and as a result, it affects people. It really does affect people in all sorts of ways. Also, we have an awful lot of immigration in this part of the world, or some immigration. As a result, I think that maybe there's been some problems with language and things like that that's affected people. So.
Now, in your diocese, I mean, for over half a century now, every year there's been a pilgrimage to Lourdes. And this year, of course, Lourdes is closed. But your diocese is doing something about it. Can give us a little bit of details about this virtual pilgrimage that you have just designed.
Well, we just virtually walked all the way to Lourdes for a starter. It started 16 days ago. We began a walk of hope to Lourdes, and anybody could join in. You know, if you went out walking, you registered your mileage on Facebook with a couple of folks who were dealing with it. And slowly but surely, over the last 16 days, we've made our progress to Lourdes. And today we should have actually been there. Today we should have actually arrived. And tomorrow would have been the opening mass, and we're going to do the best we can. Tomorrow I'll celebrate mass at the cathedral at 4:00, and that will be on YouTube, and people will be able to access it through Facebook, etc. And I know there's over 800 have registered as part of this already. We take quite a large contingents to Lourdes, between 800 and 1,000 every year. So there's an awful lot of enthusiasm, there's an awful lot of energy, there's an awful lot of people invested in the pilgrimage, and so it's them who's carried it along, their enthusiasm.
You speak about this large number you bring to Lourdes. Of course, among those would usually be people who are elderly, people who are sick or infirm. In other words, the people who are at most risk for COVID-19. Does that add a certain dimension to this virtual pilgrimage?
Obviously, I mean, in so many ways, our supported pilgrims are the centre of our pilgrimage. It's for them, because of them, that we all want to go to Lourdes, and they bring so much to the rest of us. They bring so much grace, so many blessings to us, and we'll really miss them this year, actually having close contact with them. But we know that they'll be virtually with us, either on Facebook or through their laptops or whatever. And also we're in this privileged position that we have a telephone line as well into the mass, so you can actually dial up, because not everybody has a laptop, not everybody is able to access internet, but we actually have the mass on telephone as well, so that they can dial into the cathedral, dial up to a particular number, and they can hear everything that's going on at the mass and participate that way. So they'll be with us. They'll be very much at the centre of our thoughts and prayers, and it's such a blessing to have them.
The way this pilgrimage is designed, the virtual masses that you're doing across the diocese, your diocese geographically is rather large. Is it also a pilgrimage of the Diocese of Middlesbrough?
Absolutely, yeah. Well, first of all, people who are participating from all over the diocese. And the walk of hope that began 16 days ago went through the diocese. We started at the cathedral, and then we went to Richmond, and then to the coast of Scarborough, and then we went south towards York, and then to Hull, and then through the rest of England, and then eventually we caught the ferry, virtually caught the ferry across to Calais, and then all the way through France to Lourdes. So it's been an incredible experience, and it's really engaged people, really has engaged people.
What churches in Middlesbrough are you doing the masses in that you'll be broadcasting?
Sure. Okay. So the cathedral, of course, and then on Sunday we're at St. Peter Chanel in Hull, Our Lady of Lourdes and St. Peter Chanel in Hull. Then back to the cathedral on Monday for another mass. And that will be we'll be joining with the people of the Archdiocese of Birmingham as well, because every year when we go to Lourdes, we always team up with Birmingham, and we always have a mass at the grotto traditionally on the Monday. So I'll be celebrating with the Archdiocese of Birmingham as well as with Middlesbrough, and then on Tuesday. There's a mass to celebrate the canonization of John Henry Newman, because obviously he worked in Birmingham, and that's very special to them. We're also having a mass from St. Gabriel's in Middlesbrough. So yeah, quite a few venues, quite a few churches, and also there's a service for the sick. There will be a service of water, because water is an important element in Lourdes, and that will be from York. So yeah, all over the diocese, and in fact all over the country.
Now on Thursday, for people who do not know, in the UK there is what's called the clap for the NHS workers, the National Health Service, where everyone gets out at 8 p.m. and claps for frontline workers in the UK. For the past few weeks, the bishops of England and Wales have been celebrating a special mass at 7 p.m., an hour before this clap happens. You'll be doing that this upcoming Thursday, correct?
That's correct. Yeah. It falls to me this particular Thursday to celebrate on behalf of the Bishops' Conference the Mass from the cathedral here, to pray for all the frontline workers, all the carers, the nurses, the doctors, all those people who are providing their services to basically keep us going and to look after us, and to pray for them and to ask God's blessing on them, set in such a time that as soon as we finish, we can go outside and we can participate in the clap, in the congratulations, in our support for all of them.
And finally, as we said earlier, your diocese has been particularly hard hit during this pandemic. It's affected pastoral ministry across the world, not just in England. How have the people within the diocese been coping? How have your priests been coping? How have the people been coping? Have they been watching masses online? How have the people been doing in your neck of the woods during this crisis?
Obviously, I'm not going to discount that there's been an awful lot of suffering, an awful lot of anxiety, an awful lot of stress in people's lives, but there's been a huge number of blessings as well. And phoning around the priests, talking to the deans, I'm really amazed and grateful to the imagination of the priests that they've really taken on board digital ministry, telephone ministry. They've been in contact with people. They've used every possible way of keeping contact. I know that the streamed masses, if you look at the numbers, are very considerable. Particularly over Holy Week, we were getting thousands of people tuning into the cathedral, and I know reports from other priests in parts of the diocese, they were getting hundreds of thousands of people tuning in, which is far more than we would have got on an ordinary Sunday. Where they came from, I don't know. I get the impression that they weren't just from our diocese, but from all over the world. And And the folks themselves have been very much involved, supporting one another. Middlesbrough and the diocese are used to supporting one another, looking after one another, looking out for one another. And there's been an awful lot of work in the food banks, an awful lot of work in the schools, via the schools, providing food parcels for people who are without. A lot of the schools have been doing work like making the masks for the PPE, for the personal protection gear that people need, making face masks, making the Perspex masks, doing all sorts of things to support the care workers. So it's been a period of darkness, yes, but it's been a period of great blessings as well. People have really dug deep into their hearts, and they found an awful lot of generosity there and an awful lot of empathy, which they've used for the good of everybody. So many blessings too.
Thank you very much for your time, Bishop. I appreciate it.
Great pleasure. Great pleasure.
Bye-bye.
Bye. All the best. Thank you.